Should you think that you've been a victim of an incident or a breach, call your insurance broker first as well. So, Collin, to that degree, I kind of want to get into some of the things that a cyber policy provides to the insured, right? So, some of the proactive technology like MFA and that sort of stuff. And you've used business interruption a couple of times. So, definitely want to talk about that. Then we've already kind of covered what happens after a breach and the ecosystem and everybody that comes together to put out that fire. But the proactive stuff, let's help people understand. A lot of us are not technical people. We're not IT. We're not information security. And by the way, those are two different teams. So helping people understand sort of those nuances as we talk about this.
Yes. So on the front end, a couple of things. The first thing that I would say is it shocks me that the insurance industry itself isn't being more proactive about mandating cybersecurity protocols and or data privacy protocols. And I throw data privacy in here because while it's separate and apart from cybersecurity, you can think of it in terms as the front end protection. Because if at the end of the day, you're hashing, encrypting, otherwise ensuring that only authorized individuals have access to this information, you're controlling the ability of hackers on the back end to actually access that. One, you're limiting the access. And then two, once they get access, hopefully it's encrypted or in such a state that they wouldn't actually derive any value out of it. Insurance companies used to lobby for seatbelt regulations and airbag regulations for the very reason that they want to reduce risk. Insurance companies look at me and they say, fill out your application, great, yada, yada. I fill it all out, they cover me, and we go back to what happens when my vendor gets hacked and I get hacked as a result. The insurance company may bear the brunt of the fact that the vendor messed up. Well, if there's a law that requires everybody to have certain cybersecurity protocols, insurance industry has now lowered its risk overall, just like it did with seatbelts, et cetera. So when we're looking at cyber insurance applications, they're very different. Just like all cyber insurance policies are different, the applications are different in and of themselves. So for example, coalition insurance, they have like 4 questions on their questionnaire. The way they determine your risk is by determining how many endpoints and connections they can access remotely on the internet looking for those vulnerabilities. Versus other insurance carriers that I've seen where they require exactly what Twilla was just discussing. Multi-factor authentication, cyber incident risk plans, business interruption risk plans, all of these different data privacy policies and procedures, right? They require that MFA, they require pen testing or penetration testing. Most of them require training on an annual basis. Most of them require some sort of tabletop exercise on an annual basis. But the reason why they're asking you to put these things in place is because that's lowering their risk and it's lowering your risk at the end of the day. So making sure you have those policies and procedures and that they're operational, because you can have everything in the world, but if you're not training your employees on a regular basis, I'm sure that most of the people on here, for example, get tested on checking their emails, right? So they send you a spoof email, and if you click on it, you got to go to training for 2 hours. But a lot of small businesses don't do that because of the cost. Another thing that small businesses don't do is endpoint detection and response. That's something else that's usually required in cybersecurity insurance. And so your endpoint detection is going to have a directory of all of the computers that are linked up to the network and be able to say, wow, there's some suspicious activity. Collin isn't usually on his computer at 2 a.m. and they can hopefully quarantine or at least hop on top of the incident, not the breach, the incident before it actually occurs. So you've got multi-factor authentication, you have endpoint detection and response, you've got all of the policies and procedures, as well as the operational side of pen testing and tabletop exercises. And all of those are to try and limit your risk and allow your employees to actually know what to do. Recently, I was teaching a class of MBA students, and they were all getting ready to be auditors for big companies like Deloitte, et cetera. I asked the entire class, I said, all right, what's the first thing you do if you find out, oh my God, I've got an incident, something's going on right now? And not a single one of them knew what to do. Now, obviously, they haven't gone and been trained by their employer yet, but that tells you the level of knowledge that we're starting with. So if you're in the insurance industry, broker or whatever, your clients typically are ignorant for all of this. They have to be educated, just like I was, just like we all were, on what proper cyber hygiene is and how to respond in the event of an incident.